Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean Andrew, back with another review. This time we'll be talking about Hell on Wheels, Season 1, Episode 9, Timshel. We continue on from shots being fired as the Indians are starting to close in, bullets, arrows flying through the sky. Both parties are being hit. The Indians are attacking with full force, and as they continue to move closer and closer, the attacks now turn into hand-to-hand combat. People getting hit in the head with bone and with rock, and Elam's over here drowning one of the guys. And then it gets even more interesting as Joseph runs after one of the Indians that are trying to leave and sends an arrow right through his back, stopping him dead in the tracks. And you can definitely see this part of where he personally is just starting to get tired of all the killing. He's trying to make a valid effort on making this happen without all the fuss. Times are changing and everyone's going to need to learn to step up. And through this kill, to me, it just shows that he is making that effort more than ever. We then, dealing with the aftermath, the soldier, he decides to carry on, still looking for the rest of the people. Joseph decides to go after his brother, and Bohannon and Elam are actually going to head back home. But not after an idea is brought up about scalping the Indians for proof, brought up by the doc. Bohannon declined, but Elam looks at it as, it's $20 per head. So Elam actually decides to scalp one of the Indians, and Bohannon kind of has this bothered look on his face, which I think that does kind of make sense. You got to take that extra step to willingly scalp someone after they've died just for money. At least when the Indians do it, it was kind of a proof we were here. This is kind of payback, but this is kind of like, I'm going to chop off a piece of your body for some cash, but back then, Elam, he's practically a slave in some sense. And, Bohannon doesn't really need to do that for money. He's white. So we then go over to the Rev's daughter discovering a bottle of alcohol by some candles. And that's when the Rev comes in and he just looks at her and he's like, yes, okay, I'm going to confess. I am a sinner. And I left you for a good reason, though. Practically, it was because of the Lord. Well, this, of course, pisses her off, as it probably would any child, to cut off all type of contact. And she slaps him not once, but twice. And then he goes back to showing this type of psychotic laughter, half crazy thing that he did a couple of episodes ago when she first showed up. He's really starting to lose it in my eyes. And then we go to outside. The McGinnis brothers are getting their place back up and running after what happened with the Swede. And this time it's going to be a little different because the Swede calls out for one of the head whores. And she makes a comment about how, the girls aren't working, no one's making any money, what else do you want me to do? And he backhands her and beats her with this kind of nightstick. And it's just like, damn, this dude, he's a pimp. Boy, when he wants his money, he wants his money. Because if you know what happened with the brothers before, we're a little late, blah, 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 you can understand. And he tore down their whole building, So the Swede is really starting to tick everyone off. And you can definitely tell that when the final season happens, the Swede's going to get, he's definitely going to get what's coming to him. Hopefully. Okay, now we go over to the doc, who's being caught off guard because Elam actually shows up with a couple of scalps. So apparently it wasn't just that one. He really took some time to make some money off that. And the doc says, oh yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah, 10 per head. And he goes, no, you said 20. Now, this makes the doc see Elam in a new light because Elam showed a level of what's the word? He showed a level of power to an extent, that he was willing to go out there to play the dirty work and to get the job done, and that for returning these scalps that you would get paid. He sees not only that, but he also sees that if Elam was willing to say, no, not 10, but 20, when a fair amount of guys, especially colored, would probably not have actually spoken up. They'd have been happy with the 10 because he wouldn't have offered the 10 if he really didn't think he could get away with it. So seeing that Elam was able to put his foot down, said, no, you said 20. The doc now wants to have Elam as kind of the off the books type of guy. Those special things nobody's going to talk about. Now Elam feeling this new sense of power. No one's going to tell me what to do. I'm now in the boss good graces. He now goes and meets his whore, and they have kind of a quick sex meetup. With all this power rushing through him after just having sex, especially, he then wants the whore to kind of be his whore, his girl. I'm still going to say his whore for right now, just because of how it seems to show off in the show. But just then, a man wanders into town, huge bandage over the side of his head, and he walks right up to where Elam was at. And come to find out, it's the same guy that Elam actually shot in the mouth towards the previous 2 episodes. Apparently, the bullet traveled through and out the back of his neck, but it missed his spine. And he goes on and on about how, an angel came and flicked the bullet out of me. And, now I've seen the error of my ways. Because there were 2 previous things that just happened. Where one, you had to think about, they were talking about how the Irish were practically treated as the so-called niggers, where they were at. So now that they're here, he doesn't want to be treated like them. So now by showing that, because of his basic skin tone, just showing that he's treating the black people bad, this will then help him to stay faced with everybody else. So to definitely kind of see this changeover is very interesting. But the response from Elam, I think, was the more powerful one. Because the man is on his knees and he's trying to say sorry. Elam stops him and says, I don't want to hear it. I want you to apologize to her. And he calls out the whore and he says he's sorry, and Elam tells him to go on about his business. And I thought that part is going to be interesting. I wonder how that character is going to come back, because now with this new change, I hope he does something else to kind of redeem himself. Not just with Elam and not just with the whore, but just in general, because once you see characters go through that type of change, you then start to feel a little sorry for them. Because again, he was just acting in a way so that he himself would not be labeled as now the bottom of the barrel. So after that part, you then see one of the McGinnis brothers actually talking to Bohannon about how the Swede has been treating everyone. And he gives him a wad of money, well, let's just consider $100, and he lets him know, this is from, us and the whores have been kind of saving up a little bit of money just so you would be able to do this. And apparently he's giving him the money so that he would have the Swede killed, he would do it, or however have you, but to do something that prevents him from treating them the way that they are. Bohannon is definitely, this seems to be a man of honor. He doesn't take the money. But what he does do is he tells them about, hey, the doc has an issue with him. So maybe you should try to get something on the doc. Maybe work with the doc to see if a better way of getting rid of the Swede altogether. This way, both of your problems will end up being resolved. Now, later on that night, Elam's at the bar, at least as he walks in. Bohannon is sitting there. Everyone is staring at Elam. Now, again, he's still kind of full of that pride and all that power and stuff. He walks over to the table where Bohannon is sitting, and he's like, tell me to take a seat. And Bohannon says, take a seat. Once he sits down, everybody then just kind of like calms down, like, oh, okay, so it's okay for this black guy to be in there if the man said he could sit. And he then tells Bohannon, pour me a drink. He calls over the man to bring another glass, and he pours him a drink. Again, Elam is just really getting full of himself. And then he pretty much just informs Bohannon of what happened with the doc, his kind of newfound position. And continue later on that night, Elam leaves, and then Lily shows up at the bar. They kind of have a quick chit chat between her and Bohannon, and you still can't tell if there's a love interest or not. And they kind of flirt around to an extent. Again, I'm really tired of her. One more episode. I hope they kind of write her out. That would be the best. But then the doc shows up asking for a word with Bohannon outside, and he delivers some very disturbing news. Come to find out the Swede had been working overtime, enough to the point that he's found all this information on Bohannon, has sent it over to Washington, and now people will be coming back shortly to arrest him. And the doc is practically giving him a way out. You may want to consider leaving. Now, meanwhile, the soldier returns looking for Joseph, feeling that he needs to be held accountable for what happened. Practically, he wants to have him killed. The Reverend talks about, would you let somebody hurt your family member? This isn't really the right thing to do. The soldier doesn't want to hear it. So the Rev takes the soldier's sword and slices off his head. And that's how they end the episode. That I did not see coming. Again, this kind of psychotic feel from the Rev definitely feels like a step that he would take. He also seems to be almost snapping in a sense that because of all this blood and violence, especially after the train that exploded from the derailed episode the last episode, and he's ready to really step up. Like, he just seems so like, no one wants to listen. He's trying to calm down, and now you're trying to take someone who I'm considered family, drinking. My daughter has an issue with me. Joseph's been the only consistent people to be there. A guy he converted, and he's changed. He's trying to make a better life for himself, and you're coming here to screw it up. Oh man, I didn't see that coming at all. So this is the 9th episode. I definitely can't wait to say the next week's episode will be the final season. I still think season 8 was a bit more intense. And I don't know if this was just a simple calm before the storm. I hope it is impactful, because as a whole, I'm still kind of lost on the overall storyline. Like, does it really pull you in? At least with Desperate Housewives, you have the murder mystery and the people trying to survive. The Walking Dead, you have this basic apocalyptic, regular humans versus the zombies. But with this, it just seems, some of it seems political. That was just in the first couple episodes. Now it just seems kind of almost as if racial was supposed to be a factor, but it doesn't fully feel like that now. As I'm saying, Lily and Bohannon don't really feel like a love interest. I hope that if they do continue with a second season, which the ratings are still fairly okay, that they do step it up. Because the storyline overall is nice, but it doesn't fully draw everybody into wanting to watch this. So, please leave a comment down below on what's your thoughts on the show. So this episode has been of Hell on Wheels, Season 1, Episode 9, Timshel. My name is Sean my name is Sean Andrew, sorry. My name is Sean Andrew with the TV show review. See ya.